for broadcast with this wonderful panel. Let's do the broadcast on the theme. I hope you have an athlete who is a multiple in these competitions and some of all the events. It's a pleasure to be here. Really, it's a gift for me, a gift for my career, and I have no doubt that talking to this friend who is here, first of all, I'll say good morning to you, my dear, but Mario Wilson dos Santos, because after all, Mario Wilson is only a champion of the Olympics of New York, but beating at the finish line the Kenyan Paul Turgott. Tell me more. Still 3 titles of the San Silvestre. How are you, Mario Wilson? I'm fine. Good morning to everyone who's watching me. Dalto, Rodrigo, Alvaro Jose, it's a pleasure to be here on this long-awaited day for all of us, right? In the middle of the race, by the way. After all, we have a superstar. Eliud Kipchoge in the race. That's right. A very strong elite, but expectations are high. Good. So, it's a pleasure to be with all of you here. Yeah, and also on my side, I have a 2 They're an unlikely proof because it was done at the end and won at the end. Also, we even Brazilian Fabio de Jesus, right? Who's doing great, doing good times in the half marathon. And he's an athlete who will also stand out in the race for sure. Speaking of the half marathon, we have pacers, two pacers, one male and one female pacer in the women's. The male pacer will lead the race to finish at 3:02 per kilometer, and the female pacer will do 3:28 per kilometer. Yeah, let's go now with Renan Tellis, who's there at the start. Renan really has a lot of information. Let's go, Renan.
Good morning, everyone. We're here on the start. Renan Tellis from the theme, and everyone is already here. It started, we have here, look, the elite area. Everyone is already here. Everyone is already positioned for the start. Athletes passing through here on the way. Look, the Africans, and soon they have to leave. There's going to be the start. I'll show you. Kipchoge is there in his tent. If we take a couple of steps back, maybe you can see him. You're there too. So stay tuned. I'll show you everything that's happening. We're on the course, so I'll in some moments to keep you informed. The Brazilians, the first athletes who are there, okay? So follow along. Oops, let's go. The athletes are passing through here, starting the warm-up. There's an area here. Look, let's turn here. The athletes are going to warm up that on this straight here. I think I see a little more from there. It's not interesting for the athletes to do. They're warm-up. There are some athletes here in the lounge still. Look.
Deu pau no meu microfone, eu não tô ouvindo não. Oi? Deu pau no meu microfone.
O recorde feminino é do ano passado.
Vamos nessa. Afinal de contas, grandes novidades aí pintando, porque não é para menos, né? Não é para menos. Promete ser sensacional essa corrida aí que nós teremos aí. Realmente fortes emoções. E como se não bastasse, o Rodrigo conhece muito bem o percurso. E muita gente está falando que o fato do percurso ser plano, muita gente está falando no Brasil, não é aqui em Porto Alegre, que o fato do percurso ser plano vai favorecer as marcas. Mas cai aquela questão, e a chuva? A chuva vai propiciar boas marcas? É uma questão para vocês, meus treinadores.
Não tenha dúvida, são adaptações que esses atletas terão que fazer. Alguns, vou dar um exemplo aqui prático. O Marius, quando correu a primeira maratona dele, em Paris, em 2004, estava chovendo. E ele correu na marca de 2:12, com grandes possibilidades de ter corrido ali 2:09. E a gente tem outras provas do mundo que às vezes acontece, né? A chuva é uma situação inerente, né? Não tem como você...
Não é tênis, né?
Não tem. A largada vai acontecer, as pessoas vão correr e alguns atletas vão se adaptar melhor a esse tipo de percurso, a esse tipo de clima, não tenha dúvida.
E agora vamos acompanhar o percurso com todas as suas alternativas, um belo cenário aí. E claro, quem conhece mais esse percurso está ao meu lado, Rodrigo.
O percurso é extremamente plano, apenas 14 metros de altimetria. Para vocês terem uma ideia, ele é mais plano que a Maratona de Berlim, a Maratona dos Recordes Mundiais. Largamos no Parque da Redenção, entrando em direção ao gasômetro e depois indo para o centro histórico, passando do mercado público de Porto Alegre, por volta do quilômetro 5, indo em direção ao aeroporto através da Avenida Farrapos. Na Avenida Farrapos, a gente vai até próximo ao quilômetro 10, no entroncamento com a Avenida Sertório, que é a avenida que costeia Porto Salgado Filho, onde a maioria dos atletas de fora chegaram. Vai até próximo ao quilômetro 15 e faz o retorno no final do aeroporto, voltando no sentido contrário, ou seja, todos os atletas amadores passarão pelos atletas de elite. Verão o Kipchoge voltando e chegando novamente no mercado público no quilômetro 25, passando bem próximo, atrás aqui da chegada, no quilômetro 27, na Avenida Loureiro da Silva, indo em direção ao Estádio Olímpico, o antigo estádio do Grêmio, que o Álvaro José conhece muito bem.
Do meu tempo. A Arena Nova eu não conheço, não.
Não, o Estádio Olímpico foi aposentado em 2012, ou seja, já há 14 anos. Próximo do quilômetro 32, entre o quilômetro 31 e 32, faz o retorno logo depois do Estádio Olímpico e volta pela Avenida Érico, e daí até próximo da largada, no quilômetro 34 e 800, ele entra na Avenida Beira-Rio e em direção ao Estádio Beira-Rio, o estádio do Internacional, fazendo a volta logo depois do estádio do Internacional, entrando na Avenida Beira-Rio e retornando para a largada, próximo ali do quilômetro 38, entre o 38 e o 39, chegando aqui. E com certeza nós teremos um excelente tempo e nós vamos bater essa marca em território brasileiro de 2:10 e 21, Álvaro José.
2:10 e 21. Será, Maurício?
Mais plano que isso é impossível, né, Álvaro? Eu, como atleta, gostaria de ter tido essa oportunidade de estar correndo dentro de casa, no Brasil, uma prova como essa. Uma prova que realmente permite a melhora de recordes pessoais. Realmente é incrível o percurso.
É lógico, né? A gente está falando da chuva que pode incomodar.
This, a race that really allows the best of recs. Personal. It's really an incredible course. Of course, we're talking about the rain that could bother, it could hinder a bit, but I still believe that if it were windy, the worsening could be more pronounced. So since the wind, we don't have wind, so the expectation of great times, it remains. I remember very well in a race in the rain that we had, the victory of Brazil, and it was the penultimate event of the Pan American Games of 2007. The Amado was beaten by Frank Caldera in the rain. The rain in Rio that day, and it was in winter, right? Carioca winter, which is winter, because for you, I'm going to bring up the memory, the winter in Rio here, it's summer. I'm going to remember the last San Silvestre that Mauricio ran in 2011, won by Tariku Bekele in the rain in a downpour. Where the finish line was at Ibirapuera Park, Mauricio, remember very well, it was placed in that race, right, Mauricio? Yes, then the second best Brazilian, and the race was won by Tariku Bekele, brother of Kenenisa Bekele, the legend that Kenenisa Bekele with 43 minutes and 35 seconds, staying just 23 seconds behind the Terga record. Yeah, Kenenisa Bekele, who is really, I had one of the sensations very great in my life, because in the race he was beating in 96 and 2 in the 10,000, but especially the moment of the 10,000 in 2004 when he was leading the 10,000, and the two of them, both Tariku and Kenenisa, held back the race, and then he did the signal. Kenenisa took off and broke the world record in the 10,000. Like another one said, the rain is a variable for the athletes, so they have to adapt to that, right? But normally when we have a race with a very strong elite, the race usually becomes fast, right? And it's very likely that this will happen here. And the group is strong, so the peloton will be very grouped. This helps more to maintain the pace. So I believe that it might hinder a little, but it won't be much. And history shows, Rodrigo. For example, another example that you just mentioned of a moment. Frank, when he won the San Silvestre, it was also raining, and he ran 44:06. He likes the rain, right? Great time, right? So, for example, it's an excellent time on a course that was also very rainy. After Marilson, I think only Frank has a better time at San Silvestre, which is 44:06, which Marilson did 43:50, right? And Romulo was second with 43:50. Perfect.
Yeah, and it starts raining with strong emotions involved. People aren't feeling the 13 degrees. But now, 13 degrees is better than it was last week in Porto Alegre, which reached 3 degrees with a feel of 1. Then yes, it really hinders it. I believe even more than the rain for warming up the body, it's much more complicated. So the temperature, in my opinion, even as a runner, between 11, 12, 13 degrees is excellent, right, Adalto?
Yes, no, it's great, I believe, and I'm almost sure that we will have great times here, regardless of the rain. The temperature is ideal. It's ideal. It's not some people think it's too cold. For runners, it's great. Of course, with the rain, the feeling can be a little colder, but yeah, these athletes are used to it. A race is like that, folks. It's no use believing that we're going to have always the ideal weather, right? And they are used to it. They are used to running in the rain. It's no use saying that Kipchoge never ran in the rain. He's already won in the rain. He's already won in the rain. And then we're in this great expectation of a great race for everyone. I have some information to transmit here that the organization of the race gave us. The number of people directly and indirectly involved in the NB42K Porto Alegre in the third edition of 2025, directly around 1,000 people, indirectly close to 2,000. So it's 3,000 people to build an event of this magnitude, just so you have an idea. Numbers of suppliers involved, more than 100. Total number of registered athletes, 21,500 athletes, divided into 8,000 athletes in the 42 kilometers of the marathon. So it quadrupled the number of marathoners from last year, which was close to 2,000. 10,000 athletes registered in the 21. 2,000 athletes in the 10 and 1,500 in the 5 kilometers. So, yeah. Yeah, and we're going to show a video of Kipchoge, but I want to read a chat. The Maisa Santos channel, she said that in the first half marathon of hers in Porto Alegre, it was 0 degrees when we woke up at 3 in the morning. Let's go to Kipchoge and his video. The legend, the GOAT, and Porto Alegre in this race. Oh, I died, man. What's up? Yeah. Juliana, for you. And there you go, guys. You can... And there's this feeling. I put my foot on for you to look at. Just, he's here in Brazil. This is Kipchoge passing by. Brazilian people is arriving here. That's the come on. We run together, and create, footballer sport in Brazil. But I don't also running, but I also follow football because Pelé has been doing good as a footballer, but I am bringing what has been doing. I'm bringing consistency. I am bringing actually, a lot of people, Brazil, and my huge experience that I've been training for the last 2 days. I have made a lot of fans. Really emotional. That's what gives me energy. But I'm trying to tell you the story of Brazilian people. In fact, I'm from Africa to Brazil. But it's really, really, fruitful for me to come and see the, stories. See people life and talk to them. Yeah.
So I'm going there, then he's going to lead the elite. A lot of people wanted him to run at the front of the amateur runners, without a doubt. Pleasure, incredible, to be with a guy with this profile. Sensational, right? Yeah, and it's important to say that he doesn't see. In the statements he made, he put himself very well. Also physically, he came to compete. He didn't come just to stroll in Porto Alegre, and we have a very high expectation on this guy. For those on the outside, for those who are not in the athletics world, which sometimes we exaggerate, but imagine a race as tough with so much rivalry from Kenyan runners, and he stays undefeated, right? Always competing in big races. The averages with, as he said, victories. 2-time Olympic champion in the marathon. Only 3 athletes have been 2-time champions, and that there's controversy. Frank even talks about 76. What a big deal. Even the DR was complicated. I always say my family is from there. The Abebe was sensational. Yeah, the first medal for Black Africa was in 60 in Rome, running barefoot. In 64 in Tokyo, he did it. After the race.
Man, but just to do justice, you mentioned initially what was the responsible one, the creator. Okay, but if it weren't for these two guys on your right side, Mario and Adalto, together with Luis Felipe Pozo, win the Marathon of Cali, and Merelson's manager in Merelson's career, he wouldn't have come. It was fundamental. It was a long negotiation, a race still unknown on the world stage. Only 2 editions held, going to the 3rd. And Kipchoge usually runs only majors, basically. He's coming here, accepts this invitation after we spent 2 months negotiating beforehand. Claudio knows. So it was a long negotiation to get to it. If it weren't for these 2 plus Felipe, it wouldn't have happened. Porto Alegre owes a lot to these 2 phenomena. It's an honor to have them as partners of the broadcast since last year. I'm the one who's been here since the 1st edition, but it's also an honor to work with them in the company of horses. Anyway, a tribute paid to both of them, who both deserve it so much, along with Luis Felipe Pozo. Yeah, actually, it was a job together, right? I think everyone has a big part in this, and it's good that he chose Porto Alegre to be part of this marathon that he's going to do to say goodbye, right? In the 7 continents. It's really cool to have the greatest marathoner in the world here with us. This athlete who, as Adalto said, he didn't just do well, right? He stayed for many years winning the races. It's impressive, right? Impressive. He's the best marathoner of all time. But I knew very well, winning so many races in a row between 2013 and 2021, running among the best athletes in the world, I think it's almost impossible to happen again, to stay for 8 years undefeated. No, with all certainty, but even the curiosity, right? This issue of the world records in Berlin and also so many marks below 203, right? How many times did the guy run below 203, including the course? Altimetry completely different. You guys understand much more than I do. You know the difference. And especially, right? Everyone thought it was a farewell party and all that. Then he went to Cape Town, the first race, and then 2 hours and 13. Alvaro, remembering Kipchoge did 2:05 last year in London. Oh, he did 2:14 in New York, a course that the altimetry that Mauricio and Reg of New York, 2-time champion, with 2:09.58, 2006, and 2:08.43 in 2008. By the way, 2:43 is 1 second below the best time ever done in a marathon in Brazil. In the Olympic marathon of 2016, the title of the Kipchoge in 2016, you narrated that, didn't you, Alvaro? I narrated it, and it was exciting because the marathon gold medal of the marathon award ceremony happens at the closing of the games. It was exciting, the greeting of Kipchoge when he received the gold medal from the hands of the president of the IOC at the time, the International Olympic Committee, the German Thomas Bach. Right? Really? There's a stop. Everyone shouted at the moment he received it. And it was the last one. It was the grand finale of the Rio Olympic Games, which was the farewell of Michael Phelps. He left, right? And the first one of Phelps, and the team didn't receive the one from any other event in Tokyo. Why?
A trend that was there, and he himself hung it up with more than a minute to go. What would you think at that moment? Marielson, I was thinking exactly that at that moment. Yeah, at that moment, we have a certain anxiety, right? We expect that moment, the start of this kind of start. I know what the athletes are feeling exactly right now, right? But now it's time to relax, to calm down. I think everything that needed to be done has already been done. Everyone knows who's doing well, who's not, right? Yeah, this point of being well, seeing how well these athletes are already used to, big races, big marathons too. I'm sure they're going to do a great race here. And our expectation for the start, a start with the presence of Kipchoge, the greatest of all time, one of the greatest athletes in any sport in history. It's important to emphasize that, right? It's not a level there of Michael Jordan, of Pelé. He's a star, and it's a privilege for us to have him here, right? In Porto Alegre, in a marathon, and flat, and most importantly, in these races, in the farewell of this legend who will start in the front. This really makes everything very exciting. It's really a great news for all of us. and most importantly, the race here in Porto Alegre, a flat marathon that can provide really significant times for the Brazilians. And that's our hope, no doubt. Yeah, it's going to be the start now. There it is. It's on. It's on. It's a spectacle there. A debut showing everything of the Porto Alegre Marathon and an exciting start there. We have Kipchoge, we have Brazilians, we also have athletes from Kenya and Ethiopia there. Some athletes with times that are significant, minutes, in other words, athletes with exceptional times. And I mentioned Kipchoge, 2 hours and 3 this year. In Rodrigo, apparently, wait a minute, the guy ran last year in London, again, 2 hours and 5. In other words, anything can happen. In this Porto Alegre, we are following, we're leaving with the guys there. It's a privilege for everyone, this marathon, to be running. Part of the elite group is going to unload. You have no doubt. Just like we have laps, and Rodrigo really pointed out that very well. We will have the opportunity to see, on one hand, and Sabatini, right? Passing the elite, the amateurs, really going to their goal, which is to complete a marathon very well. And of course, to overcome their limits, because while I'm trying to overcome the limits of space and time, great marks. So doing your best time here, and that really doesn't just do the essence of the sport. That's part of life. Perfect. Alvaro, it's very important that you talk about this because it's the amateurs who make the race. If it weren't for the amateur athletes, it wouldn't exist. There wouldn't be any race. There would only be Olympic and elite marathons. But if the race is happening, it's because there are amateurs. Remember, we also have pacers for the amateurs. Besides the elite pacers, we have pacers in the half marathon and the marathon. There are 7 pacers in the half marathon, starting from 1 hour and 30 to 2 hours and 30 every 10 minutes. And there are 10 pacers in the marathon, starting from 3 hours every 10 minutes until 4 hours and 30. Just follow the pacers. I'm sure everyone will beat their goals. Remember, both pacers of the elite men's race will run for 3:02 per kilometer, which is around 15:20 every 5 kilometers, and 30:15:10 every 5 kilometers, and 30:20 every 10 kilometers. They will go up to the 25th or 30th kilometer. It depends on the pacer's conditions. Up to the 25th, we guarantee they will. The female pacer, my athlete Mateus Casquet, watch the best of 2:28.05 in Berlin, passing the half marathon in 1:14 and 13 and coming back in 1:14.02. He will run for 3:08 per kilometer, which is up to the 25th at minimum, up to the 30th if it's okay. So the pacer is a horse, so very much so. My athlete since 2014, one of the most regular athletes, a highway police officer. Guy is a monster. So one thing I find interesting, Alvaro and Mario and Rodrigo, we talked about that, but there's a news story that I think is important, something that happened. Today we have the race, and that Chechel is running under 2 hours. But who started it? Who made these people believe that a human could be capable of running under 2 hours? It was what, in the 21? Of course, right? And everyone knows that. But until then, people were like, oh, that's not possible for a human. It's not time yet. It's not the time. Even in a race that wasn't official, he proved that it was possible. And then everyone gets much more confident, right? And I did that broadcast, which, by the way, listeners participated. That broadcast of his and Vienna overcoming, of course, it wasn't an official race. It's a race to prove that it was possible for a human to run the marathon in less than 2 hours. And it was really exciting, actually. They're talking about recent times. We have to think the first time a man broke the barrier of the marathon, it wasn't 42 kilometers, it was 40 kilometers. It was the spirit in the first Olympic marathon in Athens in 1896. 1896, he ran
under 3 hours. Today, countless women run under 3 hours. He ran the 40 kilometers of the course. That was the old one, which was the actual course of Pheidippides, the Greek messenger who ended up dying when he arrived in Athens after the victory of the Greek troops over the Persians at the invasion of Cyrus the Great in Persia in 490 BC, meaning he ran the same course and 1896, like that. And then the organizers created the oldest marathon we have, the oldest major. The following year, 1897, we had the first Boston. Oh, Alvaro is an encyclopedia of knowledge. Athletics is unbelievable. Moving on to the dispute of the Brazilian women, we have 2 Brazilian women with very good times. Adalto knows very well. Miralina and Marina, almost identical best times. Mirella with 2:35:40 and 4, Seville 2024, and Marina last year in Valencia, 2:36:07, meaning only 23 seconds difference. These are the main candidates for the prize of 50,000 reals for the best Brazilian, Adalto. Yes, no doubt. I believe that this women's race will be quite interesting too. You know, Rodrigo, we've been talking about the men's, but we really can't forget about the girls. They are, we were at the hotel together. Their expectation is also very high. So we're believing that it will be a great race among the women, quite competitive, right? And they're going there directly with the foreigners. There's no doubt about that. Yeah, remembering that we have in this first block, the Kibed and Kipchumba, right? Kipchumba, who has the mark of 2 hours, 5 minutes, actually both of them, right? They have 2 hours and 5. Kipchumba has 2 hours, 5:19, and Kibed has 2 hours, 5:35. So times that leave no doubt and that really can provide. Notice the dispute of the runners. I'm talking about the cold and the rain because I'm a normal human being. The 3 crazy guys here at my side, they don't feel absolutely anything about the rain. And also this peloton of elites doesn't feel absolutely anything. Kenyan, they're ahead. And I would like to add in this group that you mentioned, Timothy, right? A Kenyan athlete, Timothy Katan, with 2 hours, 6:40, done this year in Barcelona. And we have Felipe too, with
the
2 hours, 6.
Brands, because you don't run solo. You always have a very large group with you. And the hairs that will help take you to 25 up to 30 kilometers.
Yeah, it's a great race there. Oh, what's this? Gonzalo is talking in the chat. Next time, buy a ticket and let's watch live in the city, okay? No, we're here, right by the finish line. If you turn the camera, then we're at the finish line. Yeah, good point, Alvaro. It's cool to comment here, too, that a lot of people came to watch, came to run in the race, right? So the city really embraced this project, too. It's great that the whole hotel network is full, that a lot of people came to support this great moment here in Brazil.
Yeah, NB42K Porto Alegre on the System channel.
Yeah, we have the peloton there. There are people who identified, including Fabio. Jesus there in the front. The Fabio identified there in this front peloton. Yeah, I apologize, you guys, but I can't see the numbers of the runners. It's hard. It's very hard. I imagine for us to see the numbers here. That's why we're not informing who's in the lead. So here a little bit about Fabio. Important. Currently, Fabio is the best half marathoner in Brazil, right? The Marilson, he just broke his personal best in the Rio half marathon, 1 hour, 1 minute, and 53 seconds, just 1 minute and 20 seconds. The highest than his personal best
the best 2 minutes and 20 seconds, higher than his personal best of 59:33 in 2007. Tell us a little about Fabio, please. Yeah, without a doubt. Fabio, I think he's living the best moment of his career, right? He's making great marks. He's being very consistent in the races he's been competing in, right? Of course, it's a debut. We always expect, right? One that's a great marathon. But Fabio, how is a characteristic too? He likes to run in the front group. We can already see him there in yellow. Yeah? So it's important that we also can cheer for Fabio. And this is already characteristic of him, right? Because you're always going to be in that front group. And one of the waves, the amateurs just left here in front of us, really. It's strong emotions here. And that thing, right? When I first said about the cold, Adulto looked at me and laughed, then did everything, really. The only one who's cold here is me because they don't feel absolutely anything. I've already noticed that. And at the moment we had the first 5 kilometers, we'll have identification of all the runners and how the competition is going. What, as an athlete, yeah, I wanted to comment on this issue of the cold rain. I'm absolutely sure that these athletes who are in this group in the front aren't feeling anything of that. They've already forgotten. They're really focused on the race, right? I'm going to give 2 pieces of information. Fabio, at the hotel where we're talking, he's going to pass the half at 4:30. He's prepared and he's confident. So he's going to stay in the group in the front. At least those are his words from the coach, from the Elvis, that they're going to pass a hour and 4. They're going to pass together with the group. Where the weight will pass another information. Yes, there are 2 names. I saw someone there with a doubt. We have Philemon Kipchumba. Alvaro didn't make a mistake. It's Kipchumba and Eliud Kipchoge. So there are 2 different athletes. So we're going to talk about Kipchumba and Kipchoge, who is Eliud. They're not. It's not a mistake. It's exactly that. They're 2 distinct athletes. It's also important to emphasize that the race will value many Brazilian athletes. That is, Paulo de Paula debuted in the Brazil Marathon here in our first edition. He was the first champion. That's very important to emphasize. Last year, Jonathan was the champion, and he's the record holder of the race with 2 hours, 12 minutes, and 43. How Adulto mentioned that the Fabio is going to pass at 1:04. Jonathan and Anderson, too, who pushed the race last year until kilometer 28. The 3 Brazilians will be until the half marathon together with the pacer from what we discussed.
An athlete who wins the most wins.
Okay, 2 truths, 2 silver medals at the Olympics. That's it. In Mexico. So, there you go. Okay.
It's good to remember, I saw some questions about the floor. Really, there's no doubt. The ideal would be for this floor to be dry, right? But nowadays, with the shoes and this normal situation, it's not taking away from the water that can happen in the middle of the way, but the friction to the ground, that doesn't change. So nowadays, the technology having the running shoes with plates, like this grip to the ground, it doesn't bother that much, no. Man, and you guys are following the alternatives, this marathon in Porto Alegre to the left of your video on the north. You have, yeah, of course, the amateur runners who make the party, and on the right, Kipchumba, the great athletes who are competing for the main prizes of this marathon. Eric, yeah, 42K here in Porto Alegre. In fact, it's one of the links apart, but soon, we'll also have the sunrise. It's because whether you like it or not, the weather's closed. Soon we'll have a lot more around here. And the images were much better for us. We can see that the athletes are approaching the public market, which is near kilometer 5. In a little more than a minute, they'll pass kilometer 5, and we'll give the first partial for you. Yeah, the NB42 marathon is here to stay, right, Rodrigo? We've seen this race. It's grown a lot. It's a course that favors it a lot. I think here we'll have great times, right? I think it's just adding. This isn't a rivalry of marathons in Brazil. We need
more competitive races. And this helps a lot so that uh, some athletes, at least here in Brazil, who don't have the possibility of traveling to run big races, that the races are done with quality in Brazil and they can participate. We need more athletes in Brazil running under 2:10. There are 6,000 athletes already connected with us, and the race has barely started, Alvaro. Yeah, I'm not on Sunday. Not on Sunday. People are cutting. Imagine what's going on, what's happening, really sensational, after all. These 5Ks are really promising, a lot. And you're following, look, the speed, right? He's what we can predict there. I'm not even going to say think about the pace they're competing at. Look, it's a chapter apart. So very fast. The athletes just passed kilometer 5. On the screen, it's showing 15 minutes and 33 seconds. That's a pace of 36 per kilometer, around the 10. So very close to the best time in Brazilian territory, Adalto. Yes, no doubt, Rodrigo. And I even believe in a negative split. Even though it's difficult with the conditions, I have no doubt about a negative split. We're going to have a very interesting turnaround, even because in this first moment, this group will
to take this test. So since I already know 3 people, we brought the best and the biggest marathon runner of all time, a legend of the sport worldwide, to run in Porto Alegre. Along with him, we brought many people from outside to help grow the economy of Porto Alegre. This is a very big effort. It's not just any organization that would do this, so appreciate it.
Whoever can, go out to the street to watch. Put on your raincoat, save the rain, go cheer, bring positive energy to our broadcast because we made a very big effort. The broadcast here with legends Alvaro Jose, Marilson Gomez dos Santos, Adalto Dominguez, we need this. Appreciate it. When you give us positive energy, especially through the site, we transmit even more energy in the broadcast. So let's go. Let's transmit positive messages. Yeah, we have the men's and women's. The women's is also on the screen. The women's is also on the screen. I don't think we have it. Really big competitors in action and the most important, right? It's the elites. The elite that makes all the difference in this competition to reach the prizes. But the charm, without a doubt, is the amateur athletes. The amateur athletes who sign up and work hard to the max to reach a race like this. In fact, they even say that Brazil is creating a circuit of big marathons, the circuit of national half marathons, right? Do you manage to identify the female leader? I honestly can't see the number on her. It looked like from here, we can't see it either, but it looked like a Moroccan athlete. Or not? If anyone can confirm for us if there's someone on a motorcycle on the course near the female leader, please confirm for us the athlete's number so we can mention her name. So I confess that I'm really curious to know what Eliud is going to do here today, you know? Eliud is already in the group up front. Obviously, Eliud, he's not in his best physical shape. After all, he's already over 40. But remember that he's an athlete with 2, right? And what can he do now at this point, right? With the age he already has. And I'm really curious to know what he can do here today. Yeah, it's interesting, right? 2 hours and 5 in London last year. That's an absurd time, right? Another thing, very important to mention, he ran on May 24th in Cape Town, but from what I heard through the husband, he helped him bring. He saved himself in the second half of the race to be able to run stronger here because the course is flatter. Or rather, he's coming in strong. He's coming with desire then. Whoever has sense, a guy like this never says he might not win the race, you know? Whoever has sense always holds back. It's very important to mention here. I want this help in the chat. They just asked, it went up, I couldn't see who. But they asked to announce Marley. Obviously, we're going to announce Marley. There's a gaucha of heart. She wasn't born here, but she's been here a long time. Marley is in Pelotas, in a niche. We can't see the position of her, but also one of the main favorites, Marley.
Then you have the partials of the first place finishers of this marathon in Porto Alegre.
Men's leader Wendell, Geronimo de Souza, 15 minutes and 33 seconds. Along with him, Thomas Kett and Yasmin Chinafu. Eliud Kipchoge just 1 second behind. Fabio Jesus in the lead as the first Brazilian too, in a group with everyone together and mixed up there. Yes, the difference is minimal. It's the group. In other words, you can be in front of group or behind the group, but this group, and I believe that this group will go together with these partials. He had this group very long, very less than about 20-25 kilometers, which actually we already expected this to happen, right? That this group in front really was a very big group. That's what's happening now. And even with the presence of Brazilians making a super fast pass, right? With the same marathon for 1 hour and 4. So yeah, the race has everything to be a very strong race. Of course, we have Brazilians there, right? Now it's just an opinion rather than waiting for the moment, but I have no doubt that both Jonatas, who won, who is the last champion of the NB42, Wendell, who did a job of pacing last year, an incredible one, right? And then came Porto Alegre and won the international. And Fabio is a very big expectation, right? He's a guy who has 1 hour and 1. We always create an expectation, of course, right? For the half marathon, and the marathon has a big difference. And we expect always athletes very fast have a great chance of making good times there in the marathon. Yeah, he's remembering. Rodrigo remembered very well regarding the top finishers of the 5K. Wendell, who is the leader, right? But we have the Thomas, who is the other finisher, the first ones, right? It would be the second place. The Vitae, and then Eliud Kipchoge. I mean, Eliud is among the first finishers of the marathon of Porto Alegre. Sensational. And look, the women are also really taking off there. You follow the right of your video. The race is the women's race.
Alvaro, giving some more information here about what the organization told us. It's 26 states, actually 27, right? 26 states plus the federal district, so all the states of Brazil represented in the race. We have the 3 main states with the largest number of athletes registered: Rio Grande do Sul, São Paulo, and Minas Gerais in that order. And we have nothing more, nothing less than 21 countries represented in the race. Kenya, Ethiopia, Morocco, Mexico, Chile, Australia, Canada, Germany, Colombia, Ecuador, United Arab Emirates, Spain, United States, Finland, Italy, Peru, and Tanzania. That's cool, right, Rodrigo? This already shows the grandeur of the race, right? With only 3 years of existence, right? How much this race is growing and attracting attention not only from Brazilians, but from everyone. That's very difficult to happen. A race with only 2 editions held, now in its 3rd edition, already having so many athletes registered like this, so many countries represented in the race. It's a sign that the organization is very good to demonstrate confidence, to bring so many athletes, and obviously to bring so many elite athletes, one of the largest elite pelotons already registered in races in Brazil. For sure, absolutely. A track with the best marathon runner of all time with us, so it's something to be proud of. So I have no doubt, and we are part of this history, right? I think that's what's important. And this city of Porto Alegre, it has capable of hosting great events that are wonderful, and we are very happy to be part of this whole context. And tomorrow being then the visual changes a lot, and the top finishers will be maintaining the pace one more time. We reiterate, right? No, we have really competitors who can then excellent, and conditions and especially the fact that the course is flat favors the good times, right? So I'm already believing in the one that Mauricio talked about. We're going to have really a very good time for the Brazilian here. I'm rooting for 2 things to happen. First, obviously, that we beat the best time in Brazilian territory of 2:21, but I also really hope that a Brazilian can beat the mark of Vanderlei, the São Paulo Marathon of 2002, the mark of 2 hours, 11 minutes, and 19 seconds. It's been 24 years that this mark has been standing. What do you think, Adalto? Yeah, we're also in that expectation. As I said at the beginning, Rodrigo, whoever is in the middle.
Right? Sports, we have to evolve. Athletics, long distance running, we started to fall behind several South American countries. Not because the countries are bad, that's not it, but we always competed on equal terms with them, and lately we've been losing a lot. And those of us who work with this, we want to get back to the top, competing on equal terms with these countries. Yeah, and I went there one day, right? Whether it's good or not, I filmed a soap opera once for Band, right? And the soap opera was filmed at the end of '79. The runner was Nuno Leal Maria, and he played the guy with the very good time who would try to surpass himself in the San Silvestre. The runner ended up losing in the soap opera, but the real story is I did this recording before the San Silvestre of '80. Sergio Silva, my neighbor at Morumbi, he ended up winning the marathon San Silvestre in 1980, breaking the really a hegemony of foreigners for decades and more decades. And I remember well that after he won again in '85, and then now I'm going to do a commercial, a high-profile commercial, and in '85 when he won, I came in 3rd. And then the second was Rolando Vera.
So we have Rolando Vera as a 4-time champion of the San Silvestre, the only one to win 4 times in a row. Yeah, and that year in 85, he was second and I was third. And Zay won. Zay was a spectacular guy, an above-average athlete, an excellent road runner. Here, let's give him a hug because I'm sure he is, because he's a lover of running. Wherever there's a race, he's always there. He goes early to the bakery on the corner of my house.
And let's go NB42K Porto Alegre on the Estema channel.
Yeah, I think so.
It's all ours here on the channel, Estema Sports. You're really following the Marathon of Porto Alegre, a great show, a show in itself, because whether you like it or not, Porto Alegre with this marathon, NB42K, really giving a spectacular show, counting on the mountain, right? He pulled everything, and then you have the top finishers of this race trying to exert themselves to the maximum to get a better time. And particularly, right, in a little while, we're going to have the sector. My dear Mario, you already thought about this? Well, in that group, we had to see Fabio leading there, right? Certainly behind the pace. And it's very cool, right? And admire the courage of Fabio, right? He has, as I said, characteristics always in the group in front. And he's always standing out. Of course, it's still very early, right, to predict anything, but it's very cool to see a Brazilian running in the front group. We can see the split at kilometer 10. That's what it calculates here quickly. They passed kilometer 10 negatively, 30:57. So the first 5, 15:33, and the second 5, 15:24. The first 5:06 per kilometer, the second 5, 3:04. Average of 3:05, which gives almost identical to the mark of the two 10:21. And then the trend is that, right, Rodrigo? Yeah, the rain is getting better. The ground is drying up, too. The athletes are still warming up even more. And the trend is that they really start to run faster.
Remember that the women's race already has 32 minutes, 40 seconds. And now let's find out what it says, what the Fabio Jesus thinks. Go ahead, speak, Fabio. Speak. Everyone who's following the coverage of the system of the New Balance 42K Porto Alegre, you're here with our friend Fabio Jesus, the warrior of the Sertone. But what happened yesterday, man, that we talked a lot at the airport, right? It was fast. It passed very fast. You see that it's this. I'm the one who thanks you for the opportunity, always available for us to try to do our work there, if we have this too. Are capable of getting there, right? So, man, let's start with the topic that everyone is talking about, right? Your debut in the marathon. So just like everyone has an expectation, you also have one. How do you manage the pressure, man? Because whether you like it or not, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. The expectation is high, right? For sure. It's a debut that my coach is the one who wanted us to do it outside because of that. Because of the pressure that people do to my results in the marathons, people believe that I'm going to get a good result. And because of that, my coach said that he wanted me to do it outside because of that. That God forbid that it won't happen, but if a case comes up where I stop or something happens and it would be outside, there wouldn't be as much pressure. But I chose to go with that, right? That I said, look, since it's my debut and I want to debut in Brazil, and yet it was supposed to be on the date of that, right? Which is in the marathon but he said, I don't think so. Maybe debut. Let's go to the New Balance because the course helps. The weather helps. Then I said, yeah, so let's go.
Me, Elvis, we're going to do 7 years now on the day of the race that we've been together with a great result, great marks. Then he said, so let's do the New Balance. And I want to thank everyone for the affection, the support that everyone gives this energy. I believe it's going to be a good result, God willing.
Guys, if you want to see the full interview, it's on the channel of the sports. It's there. The interview with Fabio Jesus, which is ahead. He's doing well in the lead, right? Yeah, that's right. He's ahead of pace, him and Jonathan. Yeah, what we understand, in other words, very well. And he's going to do a solo flight there, but the group just caught up to him, both of them. Then as a coach speaking, right? Maybe he made an action that maybe is unnecessary. It's much better to follow the pace if you save yourself, because we know that this marathon after the 25th, it gets tough and you have to be saving energy for this final part. But, every athlete has their own mind, their own attitude, maybe there's a change in strategy and we don't know. He might try to defend them here. The pace initially, when he didn't have it planned for 3:02 per kilometer, and the rain, they reduced a little. Obviously, this wasn't informed to them, nor to us either, right? But on his own, and I think they're feeling very well. They want to take the pace to 3:02 again. That would be great. Yeah, it's worth remembering, right? It's worth remembering that people are putting there, besides Fabio, Vonder, and Paulo is also in the top. So they're placed there. Yeah. There we can see the Fabio, the Wendell, right? Remember that Wendell is not an athlete with huge potential there to fight for the top spots. Both Fabio and Wendell and Jonathan, right? We've been doing that, and we believe a lot in the results. And Wendell also there in the middle, right? Running in the middle, protected there, as he always did in the big marathons. Yeah. After all, the protection is part of it. It's growing. It's growing. You're arriving. Man, call your friend and send him to join here on the sports system because, after all, it's already 6,000 devices connected. 6,000, Rodrigo.
At kilometer 10, they passed with Fabio, and he and Kipchoge were practically at the same time in the pack. I won't mention the time. From 30:56, he and Kipchoge and Fabio, Thomas Maru, who is the Pacers, Jonathan Cruz, the Oria, Wendell, Paulo de Paula together. Look, Paulo de Paula, I'd like to talk a bit about him. Marilson, who actually shared a room with Paulo de Paula at the Olympics, right? Marilson, is that right? We were together in my last Olympics in Rio de Janeiro, and Paulo is an athlete. Spectacular. He's an athlete who is the age he is now, right? Getting the results. Just turned 47 years old now, this week. Incredible. And besides that, in the first edition of the NB Porto Alegre, he had a spectacular race. It was a super marathon. I was very happy with his result. And so we continued in Rio de Janeiro. This guy, what he's capable of doing. The guy has nothing more. The guy has nothing more than 5 world championships in athletics and 3 Olympics. He's running at a high level at the age of 47. Explain a little how he's managing to do this, please. Do you imagine that might be one of the few athletes who know themselves very well? He knows his body. He knows how he's going to train. He can pace himself and his brother, Luis Fernando. They can pace themselves very well in the way they train. That is, there's nothing exaggerated about it. He's an athlete who respects his body a lot. That's why I think they're at a high level for so many years, right? And they are marks. They're not marks of amateurs. You're talking, he won here with 2 hours and 13, right? Those are very good, exceptional marks, and the expectation is there. And when we talk to him, you see that the guys still have blood in their eyes. They don't come to play, right? And then we are very happy about that. I saw now that they passed the 12-kilometer mark at 37.0. That is, it's already 3:05 per kilometer, right? Exactly. We already have an improvement in relation to a pace a little faster compared to the beginning, right? Yeah, and among the first, there's also Timothy Caprono, right? Who is a really good runner, including in the 10,000 meters, but we have to highlight who is or isn't. We are on the day of July 12th and September of 2020 if we're going to have what? World Athletics, where? Not even the bird kisses, and the race is the marathon there. Just thinking of a marathon in Beijing, could it be that suddenly we could have a representative there? That's right. He knows well, Marilson, 2001, Beijing. Yeah, I know Beijing well, but I don't have good memories of there. Yeah, it wasn't a super difficult marathon, right? A marathon that I ended up abandoning, right? Because of the conditions. I couldn't get well adapted to the conditions there. But anyway, the important thing is it was my first Olympics, and it was also where it happened on that occasion, the Olympic record. You can't prove it, right? With the Kenyan. No. Rogerio. I talked about Samuel Wanjiru as super athlete, right?
Oh, now we're already noticing that the Pacers are back in front, right? They're already leading the pack. Now we're seeing, and the group is already gathered there, maintaining the expectation and just remembering that these athletes, the Moroccan and the Kenyan Dominique, are the Pacers. This guy in the green shirt with another pink shirt underneath it. And the second one is also the Moroccan, who are the two Pacers hired for the organization. And now Martins is following Kipchoge live in Canada, and it's another time zone, right? It's -3 hours, right? Or in other words, she woke up much earlier than us. I already woke up at 2:50 to come to the broadcast. You haven't slept. You haven't slept, right? Yeah, so let's go. The channel, Sports, will have a reporter now. Speak up.
We are live here at kilometer 12. We're going to have the passage of the first place here. We can already see the car 42 minutes into the race, and the athletes are coming strong, right, guys? We were coming on a motorcycle. We saw that there was an athlete from Morocco in first place, if I'm not mistaken. We passed quickly. I couldn't see very well, but the car is here, Godmother. And let's see how much she'll pass the 12 kilometers, guys. She's coming there. Coming, guys, the first place. We're pointing her out here. It's coming here. Some athletes already. There's a pacer with her here too. And it's here, guys. Look, the athlete is here. She's coming strong. First place. She's passing. Now let's wait. Let's see the other one here, the other athletes and also the Brazilian athletes. We also saw the athletes passing here in the first block. We have the main Brazilians. We saw the Jonathan, the Wander, everyone together there, a very strong pack. And let's wait for the second place. She's far away, guys, about more than a minute from the second group of athletes. We can already point here. Look, the group of other athletes is very close together. When we passed on the motorcycle, we also managed to see they're passing there. Look, they're going to come. We'll be able to show you, but it's very cool. The race is very strong. The athletes are here. Look, they're activated. The Brazilian athletes are there. They're in the group. The race is very steady. We can expect a great result from our Brazilians, and the group is coming now. The women's group, the first place finisher opened up a bit, but for second place and the podium is here. Look, the athletes are very close together. We see the athletes from Africa here. They're doing well, very strong. Look, and the Navy is with them. Our first Brazilian. Come on. Brazil is competing there. Look, top 5. Who knows? Top 2. Let's go. Here comes another Brazilian. Look, our second Brazilian, Viviane. Very good. Our French woman passing here too. Look, at kilometer 12, very well positioned. And that's it, guys. More athletes are coming now. Now we can see the general group too. The first athletes here strong. And that's it. It's very strong. I'll leave you with it. In a little while, it will appear at 21. Let's keep going until then.
To bring this information to us that we were needing, people were asking us in the chat about the position of the women. And remember, the pacer is running there. The Mateus is pulling the Australian athlete at a pace of 3:32 per kilometer, which is around
2:29 for the marathon. The second group passed about a minute behind with a pace of 3:30 per kilometer, which is around 2:30. Or so the advantage in kilometer 12 is already a minute. I don't know, that holdback. Yeah, they're at, from what we were talking to people, they have 2, they have 1. Her expectation was to do a time, a personal best, and she's running for that, right? In other words, 2:21 to 2:29, it would be 2 minutes less than her personal best from what I saw, that she has 41 years old. It will be a Paulo de Paula, Australian. This is the age, especially for women. We see great women running with these times, right? And even Mauricio remembered the man, even the risk. Okay, it was a medal. It was this age. We have several cases, several examples. It has shown us that this age is excellent. The result, as long as the person takes care of themselves, right? And they have a disciplined life, they can prolong their career a little longer, right? What I find interesting here now with the men is that we're seeing that Eliud really is positioned there very well, right? He has been positioning himself with authority. The man came with the desire to, I didn't come here to play. No, he's protecting himself behind the athletes. He's very smart. He's very experienced too, right, Rodrigo? He always ran this way, right? In the front group, but always protecting from rain and everything, right? Yeah, it's the experience of a great athlete, right? And then the rhythm changes, right? It breaks the opponents and he manages to arrive very well. But anyway, it was the first.
It was a marathon. Perfect. Tell us a little about that, Adalto. An athlete making their debut. Okay, an excellent marathon for a 1:53, but making their debut in the event and already trying to debut in front for 2:09. Yeah, if it was up to a few months ago, we would have said, that's pure. You have to hold back a little more. But what Shella proved for us, that you can debut running under 2 hours, right? Of course, him, right? But in other words, setting an exceptional time. We said that of the two, only the one who has he debuted in a marathon running better than the world record. And so why not Fabio too? He might be able to debut by setting a great time. Look, I think in the end, Claudio will have to pay a fee to Fabio and to Wendell because they're pushing the pace. The paces are back to the rhythm, right? Of course. Yeah. But the cool thing about this, Rodrigo, is that we're following here. We see the expression on Fabio's face too, right? Apparently he's very calm in the race, right? Although, yeah, like we've said, we think he's going to stay behind the pacers, right? But he did shake up the race, and possibly the race just increased the pace because of that. Perfect. If it weren't for the two of them, we would definitely be at least about 30 seconds behind because they're negative splitting. They passed the 10-kilometer mark in 30:56 and already passed the 15 in 46:08. In other words, between kilometer 10 and kilometer 15, 15 and 11, 15 and 12, that's 3:02 per kilometer. So it was the initial pace projected for the pacers. And look how interesting. There we see Paulo, 47, who today, 47 years old, who today is their 4, right? He's 84. No, 42. 40 and 2. Exactly. And 42 in October? Yeah, so you see, and Paulo running right behind so using him as a nice pacer he managed. So I don't know if he hired him or not, but anyway, it's obvious that it's a joke, right, guys? But the fact that Paulo is running there at a split of 1:04 for us is quite significant. Yeah. And in 1984, right? Yeah, the year Carlos Lopez won the gold in the marathon in Los Angeles in the heat, which the Americans later said, no, it was really hot. More than 34 degrees, the race would have had to be postponed, but they didn't, right? They didn't postpone.
And that record stood for a long time, The marathon record of 2:09 remained until 2008 in Beijing, when managed to run 2:06. It was a mark that stood for many years. It's important to remember that the broadcast of the race is showing the second women's pack, because Tara continues. She's leading there with Matea Sake, the one pulling her. If you can update us for the 15K split, which hasn't updated here for the women's, she must be passing soon. It would be interesting for us to be able to inform the public that's already asking us. Yeah, our motorcycle is going there in the women's pack up to the first one. Let's follow. Our motorcycle will be there soon in the first place. And Kipchoge really protecting there, but very calm. It's the thing, right? We have, in all times, running today here in Porto Alegre, who has 42 years old. Porto Alegre on the Esquima channel. So I think that's it, right? And hold it, right? Refuel and on time, right? Let's say, continue watch helps you. The thing is, this sentence is also quite the current condition. The emotions of the marathon, right? NB42K Porto Alegre, a sensational race with the presence, with the participation of gold of Kipchoge. And we have the women's there. We're with our motorcycle. Let's go get the first place. Let's go after the first place. They're with all care, all caution, right? Because whether you like it or not, the women do a spectacular part too. In the marathon, women's marathon that in the Olympic program started in Los Angeles, 84, right? Look at that. We just made the turn there for the men's race near the 15th kilometer, and the women's was making the turn now too, in a little bit. The amateurs will start to cross paths with the pelotons, both the women's and the men's. In your feeling of them crossing paths with Kipchoge, exciting, you can imagine, right? Yeah, even I wanted to be crossing paths with him there in the race, right? Because it really is an extraordinary athlete. It's an opportunity, right? In life, right, Rodrigo? Who's bringing the phone hidden, right? It ends up slowing down, being an amateur, to take a selfie of the guy passing by, right? Alvaro, there are a lot of people who signed up for the race just for that, to see Kipchoge after it was announced that Kipchoge would be there. That's why the organization added 5,000 more spots after the announcement to accommodate people who wouldn't have the opportunity to run the same race with Kipchoge for Brazil and be able to have this opportunity. Today here in Porto Alegre, we're making history, and 180 degrees makes the group of women able to realize how much behind they are, right? The Australian, and then start running from there. We passed the 15th kilometer. We're looking for the first one. The Australian is in the first place there. We're here. There she is. Look at that. She's very protected. The boot behind, right? And the dominance of the Australian. What a thing, huh? And her pace. And the pace, what do you think? She's running home. She's still running home from 3:32 per. It's being very consistent, especially since she's using a very consistent pacer who's right in front of her. Or, in other words, if she continues at this pace, at this rhythm, she has a chance to break the record. But the race, which is 2:29 and 43. The other one broke the record for a marathon, sub 2:30 here in Porto Alegre with rain, and an athlete who has 2 minutes over this time. It's very difficult, isn't it? It's difficult, but it's not impossible. And you have to remember that the Australian school of distance running it's already got history, right? We have Robert de Castella in the 80s, Steve Minetti. So we have great athletes who came from this school and who managed to stay for a long time. Robert de Castella, who won the first World Athletics Championships in Helsinki, Finland in '83. She was pointed as the favorite. She and Toshiko for the marathon for '84, and it was the Portuguese. He won in the lats. He got the gold. So, right?
I can't believe it. 10,000 devices connected. 10,000 devices connected, checking, following the marathon. Look, folks, you guys who are watching, if you subscribe to the channel and stay in sports, we're going through the theater, going through the triathlon, going through great shows of sports. We're going to show several marathons for your satisfaction, training or not. The race is the most democratic way to practice any sport, more than soccer. Now, the detail is that Tara is there on the screen. Tara passed the 15th kilometer at 53.3 or 3:32 per kilometer. She's 1 minute and 21 seconds ahead of the second pack, which is the African pack. In other words, 5 seconds per kilometer faster than the... What do you think of that, Mario? Yeah, she passed the 12th kilometer already with a difference of almost a minute, right? And she increased that advantage even more over the second pack.
How could I not complain? The problem was that he had to compete. He could adapt well. Yeah, thank God it was like that. The problem is the return. Yeah, we're getting closer to the half marathon. In 59 minutes of the race, they're going to pass the halfway point around 1 hour and 4 already, based on the splits of 4 high, very low. And then we go to the definition. Let's cheer a lot, guys. Let's send a lot of positive energy to our Brazilians. Besides Paulo de Paula, Fabio de Jesus, the Jonathan, our heroes, let's send a lot of energy to them. That what happened also with them so that we can get the most of athletes possible after the kilometer 30. Same thing for the women. the fight among the women there between Marina, that they can go together, helping each other until near the 30th kilometer. Marina was in the second pack with the Africans. Now I don't have the visual here, but in a little while we'll inform you. And Tati Massa, you have the right of your video there, Tati Massa, and you have on the left the pack. But let's see what Marina said. Let's go to an interview with Marina on the Esport channel. Marina, in the past, you in Valencia did, right, your best time and the best time, right, in Brazil, 2:36:07. At the time, I remember you were posting a lot about your goal of running under 2 hours and 40, so you don't have a problem sharing your goals. And I wanted to know if you could share what your goal is here on Sunday.
Good. Yeah, no problem. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon to all. It's a great pleasure to be here. Yeah, exactly. That's a funny thing, right? People sometimes get scared. They say, wow, how brave to share your goals. And I think that I like to believe that most people or who follow me on social media, you who are here, everyone cheer, right, for this, just like I cheer for all the athletes. And so we cheer for each other. And it's not that that's going to get in the way. And if we don't all know that there is a lot of variables that could be that this happens, right? And that our goal is not achieved. Anyway, it's part of our work, of our sport. Yeah. So my goal is to improve my time, from 2:36:07. I think that I'm ready to do 2:34 low.
Hi, Marina. How are you? Hi, how are you all?
And that then we have on the left in your video the men's race, and on the right the lead of the Australian Tati Massa maintains the first place there with a very good pace in the race. It's that thing, right? The Adalto, Mario Wilson, and Rodrigo said, right? The others reduced a bit the pace, and the Australian is taking advantage, right? Now, unbelievable what Fabio is doing, pulling the race, and right behind him, Anderson has already passed the 20-kilometer mark in 33 per kilometer. And the paces are right there behind, about 10 meters behind, pulling the other Africans. Applause for Fabio's courage. Applause for the courage of Anderson. I hope they are rewarded at the end of the race. Not only winning, they can't win. Obviously, I'm rooting hard for the Brazilian to win, for the best time for them. They deserve it so much. And the good thing about this, Rodrigo, is that it's both of them. So soon one can help the other and take it to the 35th. Then one will decide who will win. But if one can help the other, they'll be able to escape from this group and stay running further ahead, like the Australian is. She's alone, always harder. But in 2 or 3, it always helps a little more, right? I know we're not even at the halfway point of the race, right? But how good it is to see a Brazilian running in the front, right? And another thing, Mario, it's 2 and 9, the projection with this average pace. And it's a debut for 2 and 9, under 2 and 10. And he's already beaten the mark of a legend like Vanderlei Cordeiro de Lima, practically 2 minutes if he continues this average pace. It's going to be a phenomenon, unbelievable. It's going to be a feat extraordinary, right, Rodrigo? We hope that happens. After all the conditions were created for this, right? With good paces, with the course, with the altitude. Great. Excellent. As you said, even better than the best marathon we have in the world, which is the Berlin Marathon, right? So all the conditions were created for this to happen. And unbelievable. Paulo, what I'm seeing on the screen here, he's being a pacer for Eliud Kipchoge, Mario Wilson, and Adalto. It's reversed now, right? He's the one pulling. Eliud is falling behind a bit, and Paulo is strong enough to try to catch up to the group ahead. Actually,
It's the two legends, right? The legend international and our Brazilian legend, right? And they're getting closer to the half marathon. I'm keeping an eye on the screen here to calculate the average pace to give the projection for you. The camera is just stopped on Eliud Kipchoge. The camera isn't stopped. The camera is moving on a motorcycle. But you can see there the super champion, how he's managing to get by. And let's go with the report from the channel ESPN, Fernando Telles.
Fabio Anderson is already in the group. What? Is Paulo coming right behind? There's a little bit left of the group, but he's coming strong in the rhythm, guys. And we're coming there. Paulo, guys, he's coming strong. The three Brazilians passed Wendell, Jonathan, and Fabio. And Paulo, the fourth Brazilian, along with the let's go. Look at Kipchoge there, guys. Look at the man. Look at the man. Man, he's strong, huh? I'm liking seeing the Brazilians go forward. The Fabio, Wendell, they're standing out. Jonathan fell a little behind the group, and who knows, he might make it here, right? 42 there, guys. Kipchoge is right there with them until the 10th. He fell a little behind the group, and here we also see at the party of the people coming from the 21st who are coming from the 42nd. Look, the general public, now the people who are live. Let's go. Look at him. The energy of the crowd there. Let's cheer for the Brazilians. Come on, the crowd is excited. The second groups are still coming. Look, there's another group of Africans coming, guys, and he pulled away well, you know? Now we're going to wait for the top finishers to appear and come back here to bring to you. We're together.
So impressive, Fernandinho. The top 5 to pass the half marathon. Among them, 3 are Brazilians. Wendell and Fabio sharing the lead with 1:44 and 42, and Jonathan is the 5th, 3 seconds behind to practically be together. What happiness, Maria, this. It's really, what happiness. A very fast passage, right? At the level of the race in Brazil, within Brazil, right? So it's really a passage that encourages us for a projection of a very good final time. The projection so far at the halfway point of the race is 2:09 and 24, practically 2 minutes below the time of Vanderlei. If they are Brazilians, it will drop 2 minutes if this pace continues, right? We're practically a minute, actually 57 seconds below the best time made in Brazilian territory of 2:21. And I'm still believing in a negative split, meaning this is still going to get faster, you know? I'm sure of it. Just because when you get close to the finish, the kilometer 35 is another change. It's when they look for other alternatives. Maria, I don't know what to say, right? I loved the 35th kilometer. What's here in front of the broadcast? I'm going to talk to them. If he doesn't give a Kasheba, this is Fabio. Who's going to give it as me, for God's sake? And Rodrigo usually keeps his word. He used to talk about the word. It's true. Yeah, he went after the man, right? He believed in the 2, and then others also helped him make it happen, like you. But I wanted to send a hug to Fernando Azevo, who is one of the organizers.
Anyone who loves the sport, besides the competition, besides this issue of the commercial, the guy roots for the sport. And so a shout out to Fernando. We're together. Guys, keep sending messages. Send messages that are positive. We need that. Here, send information you have. We'll read it here. NB42K Porto Alegre on the channel of Estima.
And we're back with everything here on the marathon, NB42K Porto Alegre. You guys are following and checking, not only in Brazil, but in the world, messages from the world, including from Australia. Australia speaking there, a Brazilian living in Australia saying that the time zone, 3 hours, which is significant. Here, from the track and field events. The pace has to really stay in front of the competitors and do the time, right? Even the Mo League has the zones that follow and all. I'm used to it because I broadcast the Diamond League almost every week. Now, and the pace of the competitor completing the task, if there's a competitor in front and he starts, he gets the cash. Then I don't know what the deal was with the organization with his people, right? We'll have to ask that later for Claudio. But look, Paulo de Paula, who passed there being the pacer almost personally for him, in the first position, about 100 meters, a little more than 100 meters, 22 seconds ahead behind the first place, and the one who passed, 24 seconds. So we're talking about around 120 meters, 130 meters. Adilson, is it still possible for us to catch up? He managed to catch up to the front pack? I don't believe it. I'm going to stay because if he's doing well, Eliud, if he's doing well, he doesn't stay behind without a goal. He stays with the group. For him to fall behind, it's because he's not doing well. Or in other words, he did what he had to do and we know the commitments he had, right? That now with this new project of 7 races and 7 continents. So as he who we're used to seeing, he would never do this in a competitive regime, right? But whenever there's expectation, right? Because he himself said he would come to compete and we believe it. But doing 7 races and 7 continents in a year, we know that this characterizes a bit of high performance. In fact, there are 3 races this year and the 4 divided probably next year that they'll still haven't announced yet. But the main one, he's already done. He brought a visibility that was gigantic for RB, 42K Porto Alegre, a race with only 2 editions. This is the 3rd, sadly known in the scene worldwide. Through the legend Eliud Kipchoge and much more, he brought economic resources that were very large for the city of Porto Alegre. A survey that Claudio did with the city hall, 7 million reals are coming in during this race week for the economy of Porto Alegre. Bars are packed, restaurants are packed, malls are packed, hotels are packed, people going to the mountains, the hotel is packed. Exactly. It was so packed that people are being hosted in Novo Hamburgo, 42 kilometers from here. Yeah, it's one of the first times in my life that I got stuck in traffic on the elevator. Yeah, so it was an elevator traffic jam. The elevators were packed. So there aren't just 21,500 people here. There are many more because there are a lot of people who came to watch personally, to take pictures. We saw his lectures packed with 1,000 people, right? Yeah, it's cool that we had said, look, an admirer of Eliud Kipchoge wanting to take a picture with him on his neck at this moment, right? Yeah, this issue is important, especially when you talk about the city as a whole, so that we can understand, especially some administrators, some politicians who direct like this, who run the city halls, so that they are, because many times you have a lot of difficulty. And marathon is an event that it has in big cities. It has in New York, it has in Paris, the big cities, this event, and it's possible to do. And of course, a certain logistics so that you don't disrupt the city. The city functions and you bring so many people this way. So this is not a problem. The marathon is a matter of having an ideal logistics so that it can carry out all the people. So my device disconnected live, and I can even say this because on August 30th, I'll be broadcasting the marathon in Sydney. And a detail, many people think that the Sydney Marathon goes through the Olympic Park. No, the Olympic Park race is the professional one. It's the 21K, which goes through the Olympic Park in one of the biggest races in the world. And you see the Olympic Park passes through the Sydney Marathon that it has at the Opera House there at Sydney Bay. So it's very important for people to know that for us to be able to bring Eliud Kipchoge here, we need a lot of financial resources, and the sponsors are fundamental. We have a banner here behind the broadcast with the sponsors who helped us bring and collaborated so much so that the economy of Porto Alegre would turn, and we are still recovering from the catastrophes of 2024. So it's very important for the public to understand the importance of Eliud for the city of Porto Alegre.
Let's go with Renato, who is live covering it. Go ahead, Renan. And guys, the first one,
The first place finisher is already approaching. We can already see the pace car there. They passed the 20K mark just now. It's already coming. The first place finisher, she's about 2 minutes behind the first. The second pack comes with the other athletes, and our Brazilian we'll be able to see live. Again, she's passing right here next to us. I'm excited. And there, the chill is good. The car is showing here the 15, so I managed to glance at the car and see how much she's going to pass for you. She's coming, guys. The first place finisher, look, passing the half marathon mark. 1:15:15. Guys, the first place finisher is on the screen. Tara is coming in very strong, huh? And about 2 minutes later, we already have the second pack here at the half marathon. There is still people from the public passing by, the general public that we can see. The crowd is coming. The crowd is coming more relaxed. Come on, guys, let's go. We're right at the water station for the half marathon too. Let's wait now for the position of our Brazilians. They'll be passing here soon too. It's very well positioned. Marina is in the pack, so that we can expect, as I said at the pass of the 12 kilometers, we expect our Brazilian to be in the top 5 of the marathon here at the NB42K Porto Alegre. And that's it. Guys, she'll be passing by on the screen soon for you. We can already see the athletes who run fast coming here too. Guys who run around the sub 2 hour mark, right? We already saw an athlete passing here too. Look, and they're coming well. And we see way in the back, guys, the motorcycles are coming too, already bringing this second pack of athletes.
Here comes another group of athletes.
Tara passed 1:15:09. She's coming, guys. The projection, the second group is coming, 2:30.
There you go, guys. There's
Pleasure and put positive forces into it. A group of amateur athletes also came who are looking for a sub 2:30, and they're together, guys. And Marina's in the group. She's leading the group, guys. There you go. It's Brazil, right? It's Brazil. Let's go. There you go, the group. Athletes together, Marina together. Come on, Marina. Come on, Brazil. Let's go. We're doing well, guys. We're in the good, right? The athletes are coming strong. Marina is very well positioned, right? At the front of the group. We can dream of a top 2. Our Brazilian here on the 42K Porto Alegre. We'll be back live with you.
Renan, it's incredible what Marina is doing. She has a best time of 2:36:07, done just now in Valencia in December of 2025, and she's already running home in 2:34:20, lowering it by practically 2 minutes from her best time. In the rain, in high humidity, even high, what do you say about this athlete? It's impressive and important, the attitude, right? To be able to have athletes there with marks of 2:27, 2:24, and she faces these girls. And for sure, we believe that she will be able to, especially because she knows well. She knows the races here in Brazil. I believe a lot in a turnaround here in the being able to do the second part. So, well, competing on equal terms. And I'll say more, right? The issue of the distance of the Australian for the marathon, this is not defined. It's a good distance, considerable, but it's not defined. Yeah, 42K Porto Alegre on the Instagram channel. Why was that? It's getting good. 260 requalified squares. Man, it's getting good.
Viaduct Otávio Rocha renovated and delivered. Man, it's getting good. 74 kilometers of asphalt throughout the city. Yeah, it's getting good. Yeah, the city hall is working to improve the city. The city hall is working. Man, it's getting good. Thank you, everyone. The new one is getting good. Porto Alegre City Hall, we work. Life gets better. Guys, just a piece of information. Fabio just passed the 25th kilometer. Time of 1:16:35, a little below 3:04, still 3:03 per kilometer. The projection there is approaching the 2 hours and 8, and we're at the halfway point of the race. Wendell is still with him, glued. The pacer is coming right behind, trying to catch up to Fabio. The third place Is the Moroccan Zinedine also with the peloton? The Teze 1:16:36. Jonas is still with the peloton, so we're having a pretty strong group already approaching kilometer 30. And a detail, a lot of people talking about the presence of Kipchoge in this week in Porto Alegre. Let's see what the crowd said. Let's follow along. If you had just a few seconds to talk to Kipchoge, what would the message be? Kipchoge, give me a hug right now. You have to take advantage, man. He's taking the man's energy. Kip, keep running forever, inspiring us runners. I wish I had met you, okay? I have so much admiration for him and so much inspiration. His whole journey in running. Keep going, keep going, keep it up. The spirit of running to Brazil and the world. I am a big example. Get out of this, 172 kilos, and became a runner. And following along this master of the world of world athletics, which is Kip. So I wanted to thank you for the inspiration for so many people and this feeling for our sport. Thank you very much. What a shame my choice for tomorrow was inspired by you. I'm here because you are here. Tomorrow I'll be running 42. I think I would send gratitude because of what he has done and does for our sport, for bringing running to so many people, and especially for showing himself to be a very humble person, encouraging others. Those who are starting, but also those who are in the fight like us.
To run. It's very impressive what he brought to us in terms of teaching for running. It's something extraordinary. So God bless him. May his life be long, forever.
Thank you for being a living example of running, of resilience, of resistance, right? And a lot of representation in the running world. If he could, he would never stop running and would always continue to inspire us. Tell him that there are many who are inspired by him, them in their work and his dedication, like me and my friends there. There, you go.
So, Kipchoge, you really inspire so many people. And if you think about it, the 22 years old, the guy got a medal in Athens 2000 of longevity. That's absurd. What this guy achieved and how he has transformed road running, right? That today moves the whole world, whether you like it or not. A lot of things from the habits of people. It's not here in Brazil. It's in Paris, it's in London, it's in Milan, as we are passing the baton, this sport of street running, adopting races, adopting sports, living the nightlife. This change was very significant. And instead of many young people sleeping at 4 a.m., they wake up to run. That's the most significant change for the human being, for the human species. No doubt. Lover, look how wonderful. I even got to run road races in the 70s, completely different from what it is today, right? Today we have a lot of professionalism. Back then it was very complicated, but anyway, the evolution had to happen, and thank God it happened in the sense that you are. Today the races are very well positioned, and that's important. There's a message here. I think you know him well. I don't know if he's the best athlete journalist or if he's the best journalist athlete. A hug, Riccardo Capriati, who's here giving a lot of support, and he's watching our live stream. Capri is really sensational doing the coverage for Radio Bandeirantes of the World Cup. He's a super athlete. He's a super athlete and a great journalist, and he tries to bring many people to the races, and he does. At this time of the morning, the Folago program on Radio Bandeirantes, which is really a milestone in this matter of programs to improve the performance of the human being, of the common runner, right? It's not for you, it's for the guy who wants to start running. Big hug, Capri. So it's important that we always emphasize and value the Brazilians and Brazilian women. In the second pack there, about 2 minutes behind the leader from Australia, they passed there with a time of 1:17:06 or 1:17:07. 7 athletes among them are Marina. And in 9th place, we have Franciane Mora, about 2 minutes and 25 behind the leader. So look, she's not too far from the second pack, about 30 seconds behind, passing to 1:17:35 or
In other words, she's running for a 2:35. But today it's Rodrigo who happened in this moment in the main pack. The Fabio there broke away, even more putting his rhythm and courage there, Courage, it's not much. Now, I'm not going to ask Claudio. I'm going to demand a fee for this. This is the warrior of the Northeast, warrior of the hinterland. Incredible. Fabio, idol of all Brazilians. We don't know what the result will be, but the race he's running so far, even at this moment, is a wonderful race, right? Unfortunately, Wender has already fallen a bit behind, but I think he's still in the second group, a few meters behind Fabio. Once again, for those of you just joining us, it's more than 10,000, 12 and devices connected. We have to say one thing, the Fabio is the leader, but he's doing, after the marathon, he ran 21K. He's doing his debut, and what a debut and impressive. He passed the 26K mark, right? And it's an honor for us. I consider myself part of the organization for helping Claudio there since the first edition. And there's an honor for the debut in the race, an athlete of this caliber, a fantastic guy there, already making.
It's already approaching kilometer 30, and he's in the lead with so many points. Athletes following him. And you have to talk about this, Adalto. No, and you mentioned Wendell. He's catching up to him again. And I wanted to also send a congratulations to the coach, right? To Elvis, who's been with him for many years and has done a brilliant job. I think it's important because he's always, an athlete is a partnership. Athlete, coach, you know that very well, Rodrigo and Alvaro. Because if I only talk about Mauricio, I'll be upset because I was also part of his career and I always want to praise. And we have to talk a lot about the coach too, right? It's important, this coach-athlete partnership. You know very well, Mauricio started training with you when he was 15 and ended his career with 39. Is that right? 39 years old, right? 39 years old, Rio Olympics, 38, recently. Almost turning 39, exactly. I started at 12 years old, In the running world, I started with street races in Brasilia. And at 26, I was doing my debut in the first marathon, right? In Paris. Yeah, and a few years later, right? In 2006, I had the opportunity to win one of the major marathons in the world in New York. In 2008, I had the opportunity to become a 2-time champion. And my last marathon was really the Rio Marathon. Until, I wanted to stop earlier, but Olympics were in Rio de Janeiro. I tried to extend it a little more, right? To make this farewell at home and to say goodbye with your wife, Juliana, right? The debut of her in the Olympics together with Juliana. We had the opportunity to be together in a Olympics, right? And that's where appearing him. Oh, another one. A fan trying to take a picture there. Be careful, guy. Don't fall. You're going to get a fall. You have to be careful. And it's really spectacular, this competition, because whether you like it or not, we have two Brazilians leading. Look at that. Gilberto is talking. Man, I'm here in touch. I'll see you guys next year. Let's go. It's really to check out and really transmit these marathons. Not Tokyo, but the races in Brazil. That's very possible. And he's there giving a show in Porto Alegre. And who's putting on a show are the Brazilians, because whether you like it or not, Wendell is in the lead. Have you guys thought about this? Look, they broke the rabbits. Who can happen? Guys, just to ask you now to
from this moment on, start giving your guesses of who will win in our chat. Projection of the time, you think? Because we already have almost 1 minute and 21 hours and 29 of the race. In other words, we are around 40 minutes from the finish. Next, to the kilometer 30. Who will win? What's the time? Let's go. 29 kilometers passed at this exact moment. How many devices are connected to the cheer? 14,000. Look, we have the Fabio, and we have a lot of grit there. You have to take advantage. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to We're Sports. We're Sports. Go on YouTube. Just click. One click. There's no time. It won't cost absolutely anything. And it will cost your emotion watching the Brazilian at the front who is really giving a show. Look at that. It's impressive. Look who's in front, who caught up to Fabio, Wendell, Geronimo. I really like this guy. Last year, he came to help us pull the race. Even for the 30th kilometer, Jonathan did a great time, broke the race record, doing 2:43. Very much because of him. He's a very humble guy. He's almost living in Bolivia. 3 months, practically only came down to run Rio and Buenos Aires and did a heck of a job. Where in Bolivia does he live? Yeah, Cochabamba. He trains there, right, Adalto? Cochabamba. So he's practically living in Cochabamba, there to train, to prepare. The organization helped, obviously, both Wendell and Jonathan and Fabio. It gave them resources to be able to prepare. This is important to mention too, as it is important to mention the sponsors who are here behind our banner who helped us bring Kipchoge. Besides Run Sports, the Milk Club, New Balance, Huawei, Unimed, and the city of Porto Alegre. We have to value these companies mentioned, the public body, because if it weren't for them, it would be impossible for us to have the legend Kipchoge here in Porto Alegre. And if the public body doesn't believe, it's difficult, which is what Adalto said earlier, that the city has to embrace it, especially since the structure, messing with traffic, doing a series of things, it's part of the state body. So the Alvaro, we have to give a super special thanks to the PTC, the body that takes care of traffic, that did everything that the organization asked for to make everything go as well as possible on the course. And there, we're noticing there's Wendell in front, of course. Now he's opened up a bit more, right? The Pacers have already left, but in that group, we can visualize. It's a bit far, but we can visualize the Moroccan. We still have a group there of 6. The 7, right? The Fabio, some Kenyans, and there's an Ethiopian there in the middle too. So in other words, the race is open, right? The competitiveness of it is guaranteed until the last kilometers. Adalto, it's just past the kilometer 25 mark, 1:29 and 28. Average pace of 13:35. The pressure went up a bit for the home of 2 hours and 31. So she got a little tired. Yeah, right? Expected, right? Competing alone is kind of complicated, really. You keep it up. But anyway, since the group didn't go, she did her solo flight. Yeah, they passed the kilometer 1 mark. It's there. Atara, the Australian, in first place, dominating completely this race. Impressive. Right? Remembering that on August 30th is the Marathon of City. Obviously, she's not going to participate, but she showed her condition here in Porto Alegre. We just passed the kilometer 30 mark. Anderson is in the lead, about 10 meters from the second group, where Fabio is, too, which is this projection of 34. It continues for 2:09, low. In other words, the record on national territory of 2:10:21. Yeah, 31 of May at the International Marathon of Porto Alegre here in our city. It's about to fall for more than a minute at Mileson. Yeah, it's really strong, right? I hope this pace is maintained, of course. We see that the group is still very large. That's very good that it helps the athletes to hold the pace within the race, right? This competitiveness. So we're really hoping that this happens. Yeah, the expectation is high, right? If there was an athlete, it was more difficult, but this group, we're almost sure of it, right? That, for example, there will be breaks.
Of course, there will be breaks after 32, 34, 35, but at least we believe from experience that about 3 or 4 will be able to hold this pace until the end. Adelto, this has never happened. No, here there are 9 athletes. Practically is a little ahead. The rest is all together. We at kilometer 30 with 9 athletes running for an average of 34 per kilometer. It's also important to point out, okay? The second women's group passed around 2 minutes and 14
resources
behind
for them to
Atara,
prepare.
or
That's
in other words,
essential.
they're running the second
No
group
one is
there for
better to
around
talk
2
about
hours
this
and
than Mario
34:40.
Santos.
I mean,
Yes,
there's
exactly.
a race,
That's
which
what you
I think
said.
is extremely
it's something
important. We have
unprecedented. I, for example, never had this in my career. And what is it? It's cool because the athletes can prepare better, right? They don't need to be running every weekend. They have all the conditions to do a good preparation for the race, right? That it serves as an example for the other organizations to help our athletes to prepare themselves if you really want them to arrive well at their races. Look at the Moroccans in the lead. Yeah, they're arriving. Yeah. The recovery there, they're the old arena of Gremio, right? The old Gremio Stadium, the Olympic Stadium. Retired in 2012, 14 years ago, Gremio no longer plays at the Olympic Stadium. Retired in a Grenal, 0-0. If anyone had won, it would have been a problem. Yeah, the Moroccans arrived. They arrived strong, right? We saw that the now was reached, but it's cool because it's this trend of keeping the pace there, of start doing so that other athletes also start to move and run faster. Yeah, we noticed that the Fabio lost a little contact with the group, but he's still there. No, he's not completely out of the competition, but he's lost a little contact. But let's see if he can recover. But Endel is right behind the Moroccan. The Endel is coming strong. He's already going to kilometer 32, meaning we're practically half an hour from the finish, 30 minutes. So let's go. Let's go, Endel. Let's go. He's seeing 42K Porto Alegre on the channel of Estima.
They are going to run. Yeah. So that was the life of an athlete, to suffer. Yeah, that's it. So they are going to run. They're going to run. Yeah.
You're checking out the 42K of Porto Alegre, and of course, a show by the Brazilians who were in the lead, and also the arrival of the Moroccans. The Moroccans, Aziz arriving. Yeah, very well there. The 2 Moroccans trying to keep the lead. And Endel is reacting. We're having a great dispute, Brazil and Morocco. One was a World Cup debut. Exactly. What now? The Endel took over the lead again here with Endel's grit. He passed again at the Olympic Stadium, already on the return. And now the Moroccans are already shining in Porto Alegre. Is it to illuminate this arrival? Let's go now. They're in the middle of the track, or better, in the middle of the street. Marathon. Brazilian in the lead. The Fabio, they're still fighting. Just a little bit, but they're going strong. Endel is pulling the group. Fabio right behind, and Jonathan too, guys. We just passed here on the other side where Kipchoge was. Paulo right behind, and very well, our Brazilians fighting for the top 100. We can still expect to bring, who knows, take the NB42K Porto Alegre. The race is very competitive, guys. The guys are really flying. The Brazilian is also doing very well. She was on the motorcycle. Marina is still leading the second group, looking for second place now. And now we're going to give here the passage of the other Brazilians. Then we'll go to the start. Catch the finish for you, but a very good race for the Brazilians, both in the men's and women's. We're fighting there for the top 5. So fortunately, the Brazilians are fighting.
Kipchoge has fallen a little behind the group, but people are saying to you, right? He comes from this, then it's hard, right? To maintain that consistency that he used to have, but he's having a great race. Very cool. Passed on the other side, you see his stride. It's very light. The guy runs very easily, right? So for us here to be able to see right from the side, him running, it's very
And with us, feel free. Rodrigo, I'll tell you something, I've never been like this.
This cardio here is so high the way it is now because the anxiety started hitting even harder. Can you imagine the situation with Alvaro if they went to a Brazilian who did this to them? It's going to be more than in national territory, and it's going to break that record. It's the hegemonic of our legendary Vander. Cordero de Lima, Olympic bronze medalist in Athens 2004. The story of the priest that Alvaro can tell like no one else. No, Cordero won, but he won. Vanderlei ended up winning the medal Pierre de Coubertin, which is an honor. It was only given in history to 5 athletes so far. Vanderlei is one of them. And the was assisted by a Greek, right? Who the Cordero on the contrary, Vanderlei was more harmed, and the victory in the marathon ended up being Stefano Baldini, who so much as Paulinho knows so well. They know, but the immense majority of the public knows Vanderlei and doesn't know the Olympic champion. But just so you know, in the guide, the Olympic one, the complete book by Alexinsky, which is the Bible of the Olympic Games, the story of Vanderlei. All the stories are short. The story of Vanderlei has 2 pages. Just his has 2 pages in the complete book. Only Alvaro Jose can talk about this to you. And look, if there's anyone who can do a little airplane at the end, it's Vanderlei, This is the athlete, The others I think are a bit complicated. No. Stay here with our tribute to our idol Vanderlei, Cordero de Lima. An idol of the nation, with all due merit, isn't it? You who have competed with him so many times, Adalto can also talk about it. Yes, it's true. Look, I think something interesting, just so I don't miss the moment of the race, this escape by the Moroccan, it's Zinedine. If I remember correctly, I don't know if his name is Zinedine. Let me confirm. No, Uriah Aziz, it's Zinedine. So this guy, this escape at this moment, then now is a moment that we have to be a little more attentive. We've already passed the 32. We're already getting close to the 35. So it's important to be careful with
the boy's not losing too much contact with him, right? Yes. Zinedine Oria, he's the leader currently. We're going to give the partial, the next one at the kilometer 35, already with a final projection for you, but it's clearly noticeable that he increased the pace. He didn't increase it, and he's doing well, right? What we can observe in the image is that he left also with a lot of desire, right? And the women's race, we see Tara, right? Even with all the difficulty, she
do Estema.
And I talked about this, right? So, right? So it's exactly that starting now, we're very close to the finish line, around kilometer 35. And this is a historic moment for us. We're going to focus on the men. After the men arrive, then we start talking more about the women, giving you guys updates while you're waiting for the champion, the first champion, interviews at the finish line. But you understand that we're very close to a historic moment. So we're going to focus a little more on this moment. We're not chatting because thank you. Two Brazilians, two very good in the race, both Fabio and Wendell among the top finishers, and both Moroccans are pulling away, Uria and also Aziz. So these are the top finishers there. Morocco always with a great tradition in both street and track events, and in reality we have the growth also of a Kenyan there, growth there of an African runner arriving there. Yeah, when you mention Morocco, it's good to just mention, right? We have what you already mentioned here, medalists, world record holder in the 1500, and the great one, for me, one of the greatest runners, Said A. One of the greatest runners I've seen there that I got to compete with. And with me, particularly the Garb world champion too, right? Silver medal in the Olympics. The Maru is among the top finishers there. The Kenyan Maru there, one of the first. Zinedine just passed in the lead at the 35th kilometer with 47.05. This gives an average of 33 per kilometer. 208 high, very close to 209. In other words, we're about 2 minutes and 20 seconds from the projection, stronger than the time of the Vanderlei, and about 1 minute and 20 seconds stronger than the record in national territory held on May 31st here in Porto Alegre at the Porto Alegre International Marathon. If history approaches, it will be told within 7 kilometers. This is sensational. Morocco and Brazil in the fight, whether you like it or not. They are 2 Moroccans, 2 Brazilians in the fight for the podium. One podium completely unexpected. Fabio, for example, is a newcomer to marathons. Wang, who helped in the race last year. And you have there the Morocco pulling with Zinedine Uria, first place there, in a spectacular way, and who is arriving behind, it's Maru, who also is having a excellent competition there. So it's kilometer 35, it's very close to the finish line, and then he goes to the south zone towards the road right after the turnaround between kilometer 38 and 39, and returns to the last 3.5 kilometers. In other words, we are very close to the Zinedine or Wazi, who are in the lead, right in 3rd place, practically together. The Ethiopian right after, a little further away, 8 seconds behind the leader, Thomas Maru from Kenya in 5th, and Asma from Ethiopia, 11 seconds behind. The first Brazilian for now, Wender de Souza, 3:04 per kilometer, 17 seconds behind, close to 100 meters behind the leader, and Fabio, 23 seconds behind, or In other words, around 120 to 130 meters. We have two Brazilians, for now, with a projection of beating the mark of Vanderlei. Look how interesting. Look, Fabio, Wender and Jones are already a reality in the marathon. They already had impressive times. Now, look at how the perspective of Fabio can be interesting. He's going to debut in a marathon, certainly with a sub 2 hours and 15, so the expectation for him to grow. Because we know that in a marathon, you need to learn to run the race. These are specific situations of the marathon. So he's going to learn to run while running. Running, he'll learn the rest of the distance and train for it with certainty. The expectation of having a great marathoner as well. Mario, please, you weigh sometimes in the 208 range, especially in the London Marathon. The projection there is already for the 2:0 range. Explain to the lay audience what it's like to run for 2:08, about 3 and 3 on average per kilometer. Yeah, Rodrigo, it's also cool to point out that we never imagined, right, that an athlete could run here inside on Brazilian soil, right? This mark, now what he has run in the Rio Olympics, 2:08.
Train for 2.5 hours. You have to train a lot and with a lot of intensity. You know, it's not that easy. And if it were easy, we would have done it here in Brazil. Look, in 2024, the first edition of the NB42K Porto Alegre, Paulo, the first marathon in Brazil, already at 45 years old. 2 hours, 13 minutes, 11 seconds. Last year, in the second edition, champion Jonathan Cruz improving his time, doing 2, 12, and 43. And now, for the third year in a row, we will have a record because it's already a record. That's it. The mark of 2:12 of the record of the race was shattered. We already know that. But now it's very close to us, shattering the record in national territory. And we're very close to shattering the beat by a few seconds. The mark of Kipchoge in the Olympic marathon in Rio in 2016, 2:08:44. Now the goal is this. Remember, there are two Moroccans in the lead. Zinedine Ouria, he's wearing purple for his best identification. In white, Aziz. This is the second place, a duel between Moroccans until now. The Brazilians fell behind, but not so far behind. We also have, look, we're on the screen now. Who not? Let's follow the arrival of these 42K of the NBA, 42K sensational here in Porto Alegre, and the pace of these Moroccans in the end. And athletes said, Morocco, that leaving a ta, but we have to remember that today in the 3000, his time is El Bakali, also Moroccan, dominating the main events of the Morocco said that it came here in national territory. I don't know if I heard right, but the director here said to us, there are 15,000 watching at this moment the broadcast. Is that it? 15,000 devices on television on a screen like ours with internet? There could be 3-4 people or more than 50,000 people. Almost 100,000, probably more. Viewing, there are people watching, including on the big screen here at the finish. So now, for God's sake, let's cheer. History is being made right now. In less than 20 minutes, approximately 15 minutes, the winner will be crossing the finish line in a historic feat. And in the end, Sabio, Rodrigo, where are they? They are exactly now arriving at the Stadium Beira Rio, the stadium of Sport Club Internacional. I know it very well because I live across the street. Even though I'm a Gremista, I live in front of the Interstadium, but that's okay. The next one, where I train, everything's fine, but it's a club that we respect a lot. Now the athletes are approaching the stadium. They're going to pass in front of it at this very moment, and then they're going to go about another 1 kilometer, 1 kilometer and 300 to make the U-turn and come to the home straight to arrive here at the port, make history. Both Moroccans competing for the lead. Yeah, we can't. We're in the lead, right? The Moroccans and who's in first place and the like that in second. And of course, I have to ask the question because there are people arriving back there. There are people arriving back there. It's arriving. It's arriving there. It's not in this. It's arriving. It's in this. it's in fourth place. Will we be able to have a movement? Will we be able to have a final push from the third and the fourth? Oh no, it's possible. The distance is possible. Yes, Alvaro is there. We see that he's not far, or rather the two Moroccans try to break away, opened up a gap, but that distance has been maintained. It hasn't increased anymore. So who's arriving there has a great chance. We just need to see now if this final sprint, which of the athletes knows best. And another thing, the third and fourth are very close. The race isn't decided yet, right? Fundamental, because it's the final, which the 18 apparatus connected. We always remember there's a cell phone and there's also a big screen. It's the audience record for the system of sports of the channels. We are with you. We've already done several broadcasts. We've even done the Rio Marathon, and today the NB42K Porto Alegre, breaking the record of that are following the marathon, a race so traditional. Porto Alegre, a city that the course is flat, and most importantly, the alternative finish back there. The Internacional, the giant of Barra Rio, inaugurated at the beginning of the 70s and remodeled for the World Cup 2014. And then we have really the duel between the Moroccans that is impressive, but we have someone approaching there, the Tadeo, right? He's approaching. True. And it's important to say, now we talk a little about the course of the NB. Just to remind the beginners, there was a last mark in Seoul 2025. He ran 2:09:55. Look how much this year is also improving on a mark here. And this course in Seoul was where the Daniel did 2 hours and 4. So this favors, it's proving that this course, this climate that is created in Porto Alegre, just to Seoul has a detail. Seoul has a detail. This is a marathon that is flat. Seoul has a part of the marathon that is near the TV tower that leaves the Han River, that leaves there from the Han River and goes up. So there's altimetry. And remember that in Seoul, it was his debut and the only marathon he ran to date. It was his first marathon. So really, here, you'll see the time he can do. So tell us a little bit about it. No, and look how cool. He's the athlete who didn't have the best entry time, right, Rodrigo? So he was far from having the best time. He was 4 minutes off, practically, right? 3 minutes from the best time. And he comes and does a great race so far. Look, for the race not to be weak, he arrived there, the most one athlete, and now I can't define exactly who it is. It's de race, or is it Thomas? No, it's de race. Okay. It's, in other words, there won't be any easy way. There's no way to let this pace go. This is very good for competing to lower the time even more in the final. It's a race of friends there. Another athlete arriving in the fourth noise. Guys, they're just finishing the turnaround. In other words, practically at 3 kilometers and 700, close to 3 kilometers and 800 from here to the finish line. The projection continues to be around 2:08 high, or in other words, the story is being told, and it will be phenomenal. We'll be able to hear this in the voice of Alvaro Jose. Maru is in first place. Maru is passing the Moroccans, something that was predicted here by the three, right? The Aziz from the Morocco in second place, and Didini in third place. Maru passes to first place, and Dezay is in fourth place. So numbers, alternatives of this marathon in Porto Alegre, but what it's going to be between the three, Marilson. Exactly, but nothing's decided, right? We don't know who will be first, second, third. It can still have a lot of things happen. There's the finish, but anyway, it's very good to see these three there in front with so much pace. And I'm excited about what's going to happen. Yeah, it's exactly that. I'm like a sound here. Man, I haven't slept for practically a week thinking about this. You didn't sleep. I know. I practically didn't sleep tonight. It's very, very cool to see this. Porto Alegre is packed with people bringing resources and infinite financial resources for our city, and to see the best time on Brazilian soil fall within
Less than minutes, Alvaro Geddes.
AC second and Zinedine in third place. These top three, it seems, this will be the finish. This will be the finish, and you also follow the runners, amateurs, thanks to this course that has this privilege of following, of checking absolutely everything. A duel, an African duel. It's an African duel, and this African duel is really promising until the last meters, because I think I have a nose for this. I think, Rodrigo, I have a nose for this. We're going to have a final sprint. We're going to have a sprint. Exactly. That's why I mentioned the Olympic mark of Kipchoge of 2:08:44. The projection so far is 2:08:50 and high, almost 2:09. In other words, so 15 seconds behind. In the final sprint, the last 2 kilometers, especially the last kilometer, they arrive in how many seconds, Merrilson? Right? Competing for position the way it is, Rodrigo, we can expect about 10 seconds there. Or more, right? No, I would say that the last 400, 300 meters promise strong emotions. And you who are checking here the channel and sports can really enjoy this. Follow the history of the sport. This is something sensational. Aziz, Maru, Zinedine, dueling, competing for the first place here in Porto Alegre, and it's worth it. Look, 90,000 reais. It's worth more. It's worth more, huh? It's worth a lot more than that. There are bonuses. There are bonuses for the top finishers that the Claudio talked about directly with the organizers there. But I wanted to mention a important factor that the public mostly doesn't know yet. Next year, the race will be divided into 2 days. 5, 10, and 21 will be held on July 31st, and the marathon will be a pure marathon, only it focused entirely on it on Sunday, August 1st, 2027. Registrations soon will follow us through the Instagram of Run Sports, because that will be announced soon. Yeah, August 1st will be during the Pan American Games that will be held in Lima, Peru, more before the World Athletics Championships. Look, Alvaro is painting the winner here, this breakaway at 40 kilometers, practically sealing the victory for Zinedine. Because look, this breakaway at this point in the championship is very difficult, especially since the two managed to break away, right? And it's a home fight, but this breakaway now becomes almost decisive. He's running easily, right, Merrilson? He's running very easily. His expression, his running mechanics, we start to really notice that the winner has emerged. Another thing, the pace of 2:22, 2 hours, 2 minutes, 22 seconds, that's 3:03.6. That gives 2:08 high, meaning it's close to the, even the time of the legend, he who runs the marathon in Rio 2016. His expression, right? He wins his first marathon, right? I remember when I was winning my first marathon in New York. So yeah, now, do you think he'll want to give this up? No way. No way. No way. No way. Especially the marathon of this weight. A marathon of the circuit, world, global circuit, that he plays, that he's there, that he plays, that he came to Porto Alegre, passing now in the giant Barra Rio, and following the first finishers of the marathon. Look at that. Look at the speed of the marathon runner. Zinedine opened up a gap. I think it's very difficult for him to lose from this point on. The pass at 2:22.22, if he maintains an average pace of 3 flat per kilometer, it will be 2:08:58 for the marathon. And for him, soon, right after the men's finish, will be back with the athlete who is in the lead in the women's race. The Australian continues to be in the lead in the women's. The men's marathon is ending. We'll be there the whole time of the marathon for women. And then the speed of Zinedine dominating totally this marathon NB42K of Porto Alegre in a course sensational, a flat course that he's really crushing it. And
the most important of all, the most significant, is that we have Sunday, July 12th, a authentic show of the finish. Look, the kilometers to the finish, and the most important, we're having the opportunity to check out all of this. Something sensational. A marathon that brought here to Brazil, Eliud Kipchoge. Just one piece of information. Hugo Tapia from Chile must have dropped out of the race and must have passed near the finish line and got the mat saying that he arrived at the marathon with 2:33:44. Disregard that.
2:33, disregard that. Disregard that. He just passed the 40th kilometer, so let's go. With more than 1 kilometer to the finish line. Guys, let's go out. Those who aren't, those who are in the running groups, come out. Come see the history happen. Álvaro José, it's a sensational story. Once again, in depth, and the power, 41 kilometers already. The strength, the power of Morocco with a great tradition in road races. Morocco, from Lario left Alida, who had a physical trainer from Brazil training in the desert, who took Carlos Lopes there before the 1984 marathon in Los Angeles. The Morocco that has super athletes, and the most important of all, the Moroccan who was there behind, a country with a dry climate, a torrid country, but with a dry climate. He was there behind and ended up pulling away for a great result. Whether you like it or not, he's already close to the finish line. And the sensational thing about it is that the amateur runners are making the party, that the party is for everyone. More than 2 minutes for him to cross the finish line of the race. 2 minutes for the arrival of the Moroccan who is leading. He will make history. Let's see him crossing the best time in national territory of 2:21. And this proves that the best marathon, the fastest in Brazil, the NB42K Porto Alegre. There's no doubt about it, Rodrigo. Oh, he's already... Yeah. We're arriving. The end of the day. You're a privileged person, you who are on the channel, and we have sports. It's checking out everything here. You're checking out the arrival of Medini, and he's leading the way, leading the pack. This marathon and Porto Alegre, the NB42K, is the big moment in the history of national sports, because whether you like it or not, a marathon that brought the best, the greatest of all time, a marathon that has international runners, a marathon that really has super athletes, and the most important of all is that we are checking out this arrival. We are there at the meters from the finish line, and the most interesting, the sensational, and the different is that we have in this course the arrival of Medini. He's entering. He's arriving at the finish line. Look at that. He's arriving. He's arriving. He's there. There. Move the extended ones. He's there. Claudio is in the foreground. We saw Claudio, the organizer of the NB, in the foreground, and he's arriving there. Medini, the great winner. He's NB42K from Porto Alegre. He's accelerating. He's being encouraged by the crowd. He's pulling away with more speed. Look at that. The crowd shouting with him. Vibration. Go with faith.
And now he's going to give his thanks according to his religion and the biggest brand ever realized in our country. Something truly incredible. Assis coming in second place. Rodrigo is shaking next to me. Calm down, Rodrigo. Relax. Maru coming in third place. This podium of the top 3 finishers? There are 2 here. Then Porto Alegre. An unbelievable, unprecedented, that just did this history in the marathon. He broke the 42K Porto Alegre hours, 8 minutes, 49 seconds. In other words, 33 per kilometer.
improving practically 4 minutes off the course record. And the wind of 1 minute and 32 seconds, the record on national territory. Now, the record is here, 42K Porto Alegre, the top 5 under 2 hours. There, he received the plaque, right? A real marathon in Brazil. It's so cool to be part of this moment, right? As if you had just won my 3rd marathon, you know, Rodrigo? It's good to be part of the team. It's good to be part of this journey, of this achievement, right? Not even in my wildest dreams did I expect the top 5 finishers to do under 2 and 10. Here comes the first Brazilian. Here comes the first Brazilian. 2:10:40, 2 hours, debuting with 2:40. Who is it? It can't be a debut time. He broke the record. History. Vanderlei Cordeiro de Lima. It's about 40 seconds in his debut of a marathon. Now, if Claudio didn't make it for him, then I'll never race again. Man, says Fabio, what a beautiful debut, huh? Oh, him and Claudio. Yeah. Organizer. It's essential we pay tribute to this guy. A determined guy, a perfectionist to the extreme. When we talked about the Kipchoge project first, he called it crazy, but then he embraced it and went after everything to make it happen. This guy deserves all the applause in the world. Fabio hugging his coach there? Say something. No, that's not it. But I also wanted to say that Wanderlei just arrived with 2:11:30. Wendell, in other words, he improved his time by more than 4 minutes. Wendell had 2:15 in the International Marathon of Porto Alegre, and he improved by almost more than 4 minutes, which was 2:15 high. Everyone there is improving. This course with this weather now, I said from the beginning, Claudio, the race can't be in April. It has to be July or August. There it is, the race. Fast course in winter, good weather. It killed it completely. What a pride for all of us. What a show, huh, Rodrigo? What a show I tried.
Congratulations to Elvis. Congratulations to Fabio. Wonderful. And Kip is coming, huh? He's just a little bit away. Kip is coming. He's already in the Marina Park. In a little bit, he should cross the finish line. And it's going to be graced by the public with a lot of affection, a lot of applause, because what he showed this week of the events embracing everyone, I exchanged with him along with Mario. I saw, okay? No, and that's the thing. It's the thing. We have to put a situation for Kipchoge. He came. The closing, it was the one that passed. The closing tour of a incredible career, the career of the greatest road athlete in the entire history of the sport. But he had his social commitments. Yeah. He had, oops, let's go to the interview. The winners, the Brazilian, everyone. I felt at home there.
Hold on. This energy is, okay. Only God knows my coach, my wife, who's here, Deborah, my son, 45. Do you know how much I trained, dedicated myself? Last week I got the flu, we were sick. It's not easy to do a preparation to get here. And God is so good that it was a week before the race, so I just have to thank God. And the career that's here that's giving me strength. Thank you, Mom. For the ladies who I think you're very proud of me. And thank you to all the Brazilian people for cheering for the warrior. Thank you, Northeast. Monte Santo, Bahia, right? Everyone there is cheering. And so, congratulations, my coach. It's requested. Get to know it. Yeah. It's patience, training, dedication. That we can do everything we want in one. Not wanting to step on anyone. Just thank God that he knows everything. Thanks, guys. A hug. We're live here with Fabio, champion of our first Brazilian debut in the marathon with the time. Insane, guys. So, Fabio, what went through your mind when you were crossing this finish line, your debut in Brazil with a great time? Tell us a little bit about it, and congratulations. I followed you from the beginning, man. I'm so happy to be here by your side, talking to you. Oh, thank you. Everything, right, in his? Yeah, you know very well. You follow me from the beginning, man. You know that you run too. You know it's not easy. And the race was very heavy in terms of level international. Congratulations to everyone who finished it. That we started, it was what I planned with my coach. We were going to try to run under 3 and 4 around there. So when I was going forward, because the pace dropped a bit, I'm not trying to be better than anyone, which sometimes motivates. He already started. I already fell forward. So we didn't plan. We had a plan that we were going to run under 5 in the half marathon, and that's what happened. We passed in 4:30, if I'm not mistaken. And it's the famous 35. The famous 35. It got really heavy there, but I remember that the winner, the Calcutta, is the second marathon. She competed this year in Marrakesh. She had a time of 2:29 in Marrakesh, and now this is her second marathon, winning here in Porto Alegre. So for example, the men's race also has both, right? True, both. We had a negative race, the men's and women's. In a men's race, the passage of the half was 1:42, and he came back home with a 1:44, low, very low, because 1:47 the lap. So Rodrigo, I'll tell you something. Maybe if I hadn't heard, can you imagine how much this race would have been even faster? Because we saw a very slow start, right? Like conservative, so much so that the paces that were supposed to pass at 3